Welcome back to the channel. This is an update video for the Ecto Maryland. It's a 6-liter LS swap Ecto that my buddy Grant owns. So, give you a little bit of the backstory. So, a couple years ago, a guy from the Ecto Builders group did a swap for Grant, and he had the body work done. It's Miller Meteor, and essentially it just doesn't have everything done exactly the way that you would want it. And so I'll show you a couple things real fast in comparison of what came off versus what's actually going to go on the car. So here's the intake manifold. So if you know anything about these Gen 3, Gen 4 GM small block Chevy LS motors, this is the truck manifold. So typically with a car setup, it's not really what you want. So he's had a couple clearance issues. So 59 for whatever reason, I think even have less clearance. So, but I know people have had clearance issues on the alternator, but I know that he had some issues with this heading. So it doesn't make power, really. It's really just for torque. So figured to get the thing off of there so he can have something that's a little bit more performance oriented. So got a Camaro Firebird car one here and fuel rail. So it's gonna get that. Hey, how you guys doing? I'm doing well. How are you guys doing? So a couple other things. If you look over here, I'll tilt the camera a little bit and I'll point it out to you. If you look over here, this is the transmission cooler. So it's kind of just here hanging out in the breeze. It was bolted up to the hood latch with some kind of just angle bracket. But so my mentality with these swaps is when you do them is to have them kind of as factory as you can be. So if you break down or something happens to go bad, you can get it. So since this is similar like Suburban, Tahoe, Escalade, so essentially it's like a 2005 Escalade motor. So this is where I want to go with it. So here's a fan and radiator set from an Escalade. You know, it's got electric fans on it, 2 of them. And it's got the transmission cooler actually inside. It's got the type of engine, it's got a 6-liter LS motor. So for the people that are asking. So there's the radiator and fans. So this right now has some kind of LS swap radiator, a B-Cool. And like I said, it has this external transmission cooler just hanging here. And then there was a bunch of the old air conditioning lines that I have laid over there on the floor that were just kind of in the way. So the battery was still underneath the hood. I moved that seat, and then the auxiliary battery is going to be behind the seat also. So figured we take some weight off the nose. You know, these things aren't exactly like a Corvette, you know, they're not handling. So I figured, you know, we'll get some weight off the front end of the thing, you know, off this little baby front end that this thing has. You know, luckily it's got the LS motor, so it's a little bit lighter than, you know, that 390 that would have been in there. So I took the motor apart last week, so what we ended up finding out was that the thing ended up having a lot of miles on it. So Grant really wasn't sure because the gentleman that he bought it from, the same guy that put it in, I don't know if he told him what the mileage was, what it came out of, any of that. I'm just going off what I see part number wise, cylinder head tag number wise. So it tells me what the motor actually was, whatever. So like I said, we got this car manifold for it. So compared to a 59, there's a lot more space here on the front to fit that radiator and fan setup. So if I got time, we're gonna mock that up, do that for Grant as well. So where I ended up here with the motor is I ended up pulling the intake manifold off, and there's 2 sensors underneath called knock sensors. And what they do is, if the motor's running poorly, misfiring, it will feel those shakes, which is knocks, and the motor's knocking, and it counts that and then designates it to a cylinder. So judging by the way that they look, I don't think they were ever changed. And I had an oil leak here. So there's a valley gasket, which, is a seal with the tops with the valve covers, the oil pressure switches there. So this thing had an oil leak out of that valley gasket. So you have to take the knock sensors out to get that out. What ended up happening was they snapped off in there. So this is what they look like. So essentially the thing was just spinning the inside part, the electronic part, which isn't supposed to happen. And then eventually it just snapped off. So I ended up just saying, forget about it. I ended up snapping the other one off too, so I could get the plate off, and ended up having to drill it out. And then I was able to, get the valley plate off. Now I could change the gasket. I was able to get the broken pieces out. Took me a little bit. So now that can actually go back together. So the motor will be sealed up, no oil leak. So another thing we did was got all the lights working again. So I restrung the entire roof rack harness. I don't know who wired this thing. I never knew who wires a lot of these cars, but when we did Ecto 1 New Jersey, that had some very fun house wire in it instead of automotive wire. So that came out from underneath the dashboard to, pieces of wood and all other random stuff for the wiring. So now Grant's car here, the Ecto Maryland, had kind of something similar going on. We just had a bunch of red wires. Don't know what goes to what. And this thing has a sniffer that spins. It has the dish that spins. And none of these lights apparently ever work. So I did what I normally do. I got the stuff working. So, because at the end of the day, we all know this is what most people want to see. So, because that's the fun part. So, gonna get the thing running better. So I figured give you a little update on the motor stuff. So gonna put the thing back together over the course of the next couple of days. I have other things going on. I figured I would also give you guys an update on the Ecto 1A because everyone has been asking about it. So I have nothing else to say other than the fact that the body shop has completely dropped the ball. They knew what the deadline originally was back in June. I got the car over there in April. They told me that was fine. I tried to bring the car over there in January, and they said, no, it's fine. We got plenty of time. And just kept pushing me off. So they said, oh, can you get another hood for the thing? That hood's no good. Can you get fenders for it? I got hood, fenders, all these other parts, spent all this money. So way above and beyond all the money that Marty has already wasted. So now now that we've gone partners on the car, now I've gotten into all that stuff as well. So ultimately where we landed is bought a whole bunch more parts. I had the drivetrain out of the thing when we were up at the other shop where Ecto 1 NJ is, and I was going to put the entire thing together. And the guy tells me, nah, don't do it yet. We'll do it, after you paint the car. And then once I get the car there, he says, oh, it's a pain to move, it's too heavy, it's this, that, you have to move it with the forklift and drag it and tow it and all these other things. And I said, I'm aware of all this stuff because I work on these cars all the time. This thing is sitting here on dollies. So also put new tires on this car. It had bias ply tires, so they have inner tubes in them. So basically this car rode like a trampoline. So a couple other things, all the suspension in this car is essentially shot, all the rubber bushings, shocks, the leaf springs in the back. So all the overhaul suspension parts that we've done to Ecto 1A is basically what this thing needs. So Ecto 1 New Jersey, it got shocks. I did the rear leaf springs, but I never overhauled all the front suspension. I guess that'll be something maybe Nick will want me to do down the road. I don't know. I haven't really been messing around with that lately. So we'll see what happens. So that's his discretion. It's his car. So we got this thing. So I'm pretty much, I'd say like 80% of the way there on progress. Nothing else works on this mechanically. So the wipers didn't work. We got those working. The taillights do not work. Also, battery guys. No. But the parking lights were working, and the headlights are working except for one of the low beams. So we're gonna get that working. Gonna wire this thing front to back. We're gonna get rid of all the glass fuses. I don't know how many you know about old style automotive wiring, but instead of it having push-in style fuses, it has little pieces of glass with little metal caps on them, and they're all a different amperage, just like a regular fuse, except I think that they're garbage and they don't last. So what I did find out is there's a short in the wiring harness. So nothing to do with those glass fuses up here in the front of the fuse block, but somewhere going towards the back. So also this car has been leaking water for quite some time because there's no weather strips on it. So we're gonna do all the door weather strips. This motor is gonna go back together. I'm gonna look real quick too. Oh, there's no siren yet, bud. So I know people want the siren. The speaker's hooked up. That's on the list. So that'll be for the next video. We don't have any of that stuff going yet. Like I said, we had the lights going. I don't have anything with the siren wired up yet other than the 200 watt speaker. It had a 100 watt. He wanted to bump it up to the bigger one. So I'll get that done ASAP because I know people want to see the lights. They want to hear the siren. So that's what we're going to do. So that's pretty much the update for now. Let's see if anybody's got any questions. So, yeah, I had somebody saying take it to car shows. These cars really don't go to car shows too much because they end up getting booked from so many private events. Like this car in particular, excuse me, Grant, who's in Charm City Ghostbusters. So he's a leading member of that. So this car is like obviously their flagship Ecto and all that. So they have a couple other Ectos as well of various vehicles, years, whatever, and this has been running and driving, but when they do parades and stuff, like the lights weren't working, the siren wasn't working, so we're getting all that stuff going. So they're always doing charity events with this car, so it's not really doing car shows. I know it does parades and stuff sometimes, and they do that for charity things as well, but usually they're looking to do charity things. So, and then if with Ecto One New Jersey, that thing's really not going to do car shows. Every now and again we do one for a town or something for charity, like we do Hot Rods and Harleys in Rahway, New Jersey, or Aberdeen Day in Aberdeen, New Jersey, or sometimes there's like a Mattawan Day or something. I know that I think Mattawan's going to be playing the original Ghostbusters or Frozen Empire. Someone told me on a drive-in screen soon, so maybe that would be something that would get done aside from an event. But so people that have been hitting me up for Ecto 1A for booking events, we're still booking the dates out, so I'm still putting you down because the car's still getting done. So long story short, pulled it from that body shop that they weren't doing anything with it, and it went to another body shop in New York. As per a buddy of mine was able to help me out and squeeze it in. We knew the project wasn't going to be cheap regardless, so, but at least now it's actually going to get done. So it's going to be painted. You should see that soon. I don't know exactly what the time frame is, but when I know something, I'll update it. So basically, the second that the car's done, we want to do a big reveal on it. And Marty's most likely going to come out from Illinois, maybe some of his family. What I would like to do is, go to the firehouse, put it in front of the real GB2 sign, do a rip out of the firehouse, kind of as the inaugural, ride, something to that effect. And, so people can see it. Because I know, people have never really seen Ecto 1A in the wild. There's not really many out there that, people have ever even tried to build. I know there's a couple, semi-close replicas out there. So Marty has tirelessly scrutinized every last detail, as have I. And Kip also noticed, let's run some red lights as far as decal accuracy, part location, size of things, the brand and different parts. So getting into screen accurate stuff, I'll show you guys real fast over here. So Grant's got a few nice pieces I'll show you. So like this is like the Midland CB. So this hangs up top in Ecto 1. So he's got like, this thing is like brand new in the box. I don't know if you see that. It's like, it's fresh. Look at that thing. So, but yeah, stuff like that. Also on the dashboard, you'd have the Regency scanner. So put that on the dash. So the ultimate goal long term is to 59 front end this. I don't know if you guys can see right now or if you've ever seen this car in person, but it has 15 engines on it. So eventually Grant was talking about doing the whole front end swap. You know, this is a 62 miller Meteor, so it's got, you know, tilt it down, you can see what the front end looks like. It's all that. So, but essentially doing like all the wiring, all the battery cables over, you know, putting these finishing pieces on. So the car got painted, and the guy that did the motor swap, like I said, he did a lot of stuff incomplete or what I feel is incorrect, you know, based on my training as an actual tech. So like some of the stuff, like if you needed to get the car home, like, you know, times that we've been out in Ecto 9 and you're in the middle of the city and you got somebody in the car and the fuel pump goes bad, you know, you toss the fuel pump on and you do it the best you can on the side of the road, get the car home, and then you fix it the right way at a later date. So now this got given back to Grant as a completed finished product. So it's clearly not what it is. So if you look, there's exposed wires out of a lot of places. You know, it's okay to use shrink wrap butt connectors, but you actually have to shrink wrap them, you know, so that they're watertight, and then you want to tape them up or, you know, put some kind of covering, wire loom on it. There's none of that on this car. So one of the first things I saw when I popped the hood was the positive battery cable was zip tied to the radiator hose, and it was starting to rub through. Not really something that you want for your electrical system, especially for your main wire that's going to your alternator for charging to the battery. So pretty much got all that out of here, just cleaned it all up. Like I said, pulled the battery out of the front. Gonna do some interior work to the thing. The whole thing, I coated the whole floor with rust proofing. It got sound deadening material. All the panels for the, I'll show you, for the divider. I'll show you, for example, this is a 59 one, but it all got powder coated like this. Put that on top of our Ecto charging tank. So, like you said, people that want to know about 1A, Marty and I have every single part done for that thing. The signboards are done. Basically, I think Kip just has to print the decals out in whatever manner he needs to do that, as far as size, accuracy, all that, and they need to be installed on the car. So it's essentially just a paint job. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. I know it's late, it's 1 a.m. here. So this ends up being another episode of what Nick calls Ectotech After Dark. So we're here. This is at, you know, what I call building 3, location 3. So this is pretty much like a one bay when you have this. A lot of people have been commenting about the garage door. I have this thing jacked up, you know, this high off the ground right now because it's on, excuse me, on the dollies, and I have jack stands underneath it because the other thing was there's mufflers on here, but the thing is extremely loud, which I'd started up, but have all the wiring apart. So that'll be something. We'll do a driving video of this car. I'll have it outside. You know, maybe I was thinking about taking it to one of the local firehouses that's in the area here. So maybe park in front of there, show you guys the lights, run the siren, do a full walk around of the LS motor. Gonna do a few other appearance things. Continue to put the interior together. It's gonna actually have carpet. Like I said, got the wipers fixed. Make sure the thing has a horn, you know, lights, you know, blinkers, headlights, taillights, you know, brake lights, everything. So thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. Please hit the like button. You know, message me on Instagram with any questions at the Ectotech. So, and then I also have the Ecto 1A and J page if you're looking to actually book an event with Ecto 1A, or you can hit Nick up at Ecto 1NJ on that Instagram, or, you know, any variation of that, and we'll get the messages to each other and we can book tours. I know a lot of you out there want to do tours. So we're doing that in New York City, obviously the 1A. I want to do a GB2 tour with it. So then Nick's kind of going to be doing his own thing with Ecto 1. So, and then Marty will be coming out some of the time as a guest. So he'll be doing some of the tours as well. And then, so the lucky folks that get to ride with Marty on those times, he could tell you his whole backstory of how, you know, he was, you know, he saw Ecto 1A as a kid and how it really resonated with him. And, you know, he saw it on the Hardee's tour because not a lot of kids saw that. I certainly didn't. I know it. I don't remember the car making it to New Jersey, and I don't think there was any Hardee's in New Jersey anyway. But, you know, that was what motivated him and his brother Matt to start doing the Ecto 1A project in the first place. And if he had never had that experience, then him and I probably, you know, wouldn't have been friends all these years, because I never would have seen that picture of him with 1A and went, oh my goodness, like Ecto 1A is real. It's not just in a movie. So it kind of gave me some motivation as well, because for some reason, I I equally love Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 the same amount, but I think it may be like the over the top ridiculousness of the Ecto 1A. I love all, like, there's so many lights on the thing. It has the signboards, and, you know, I've always been kind of 50-50 on the logo thing with the, but maybe it should have had regular logos. But as far as the car itself, I just think it looks super cool. I like it that it has the white letter tires, kind of like a muscle car, you know, with the chrome caps, and it just has a little bit different look than Ecto 1. It just has a little bit more muscle type look, you know, even though it's definitely not that. You know, the build that we're doing, yeah, it's got a little bit more oomph to it. You know, we have a, I forget if it's 2000, 2001, you know, like Corvette LS1 for it, where I did the cam, and I did some other work to it and valve springs and all that, with my buddy at the speed shop. So just wanted to freshen things up a little bit. So we may end up doing that to Grant's car at some time too, but I appreciate you watching again. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. Ectotech out. Thanks.